I did want to get into more of the Stephon Gilmore acquisition yesterday.
Yes.
This
fifth round pick. We picked a Pro Bowler pretty much. I won't say all pro anymore. We got a Pro Bowler already with our fifth round pick.
You think this is a really good move? Like I
do.
You immediately jumped into like, no, this is good for the Cowboys.
This is great.
Okay.
You used a pick that had a 20% chance of making the team. I'll put it even more. A 33% chance of making the team and about a 10% chance of making an impact on the 2023 Dallas Cowboys. And you went and got a guy who might make the Pro Bowl this year, who I don't think he'll be better than Diggs. I do like Diggs. I get Trayvon has his issues, but I do like Trayvon Diggs. And he does need to get a little bit tougher physically and mentally. But you got a guy who might end up being as good or better than him this year. So now if you're healthy, you have, when the quarterback drops back, he can't just go, I'm picking on this guy. You have to watch out for possibly a pick. And so I love that with a fifth round pick, they got a dude that you can rely on that could be a veteran leader too as the season progresses. That's a great trade for the Cowboys.
I think having him is going to really help Diggs. I think that's going to be huge. I think you're going to see more improvement. Diggs was good already to begin with. It's only going to get better now, having Gilmore.
Yeah, absolutely,
okay. I was like,
man.
wait a minute. I thought I said the wrong name.
Yeah, Mike, when we were kind of going through options for this team, I never thought that they would make a move like that. And this is where everybody's kind of like, oh, man, the Cowboys do nothing around this time. They didn't sign anybody outside yet still that they're like, hey, we've added this. They did trade for a guy. That is something that they take those little, calculated risks on, but they don't hit all the time with these kinds of things. That's the perfect way to use a comp pick. They just showed everybody, here's what you do. You use this, but you always have to get another team to say, we're willing to make this deal with you. The Colts did it. And they're very frugal with a lot of things, except for whenever they're negotiating with their own players. But when it comes to moves like this is where they go, hey, look at that. We just put that pin on our shoulders right there.
And the other thing, too, is, and I get Anthony Brown, I get how some people liked him, and you know how he got built up this year? Not himself. This is, Derek, this is always the best part about getting built up some ways. He got built up because the other guys behind him were so bad. He actually wasn't good this year. He wasn't bad. He was below average. When he was on the field before injury, he was a below average cornerback in the NFL. But he got built up because then we started seeing, and I think this gets to your point, Corey, then we started seeing the second and third round draft picks that were in their second year and how bad they were at cornerback. And it's like, oh no, Anthony Brown. It's like, no, Anthony Brown wasn't good either. He was just better than that. And so that's where Anthony Brown got built up. So now I would throw out the question, guys, didn't we get a lot better than Anthony Brown?
Oh man, for sure. Oh, and to Mike, to the point of where were we in the playoffs last year or this year, whenever we were trying to figure out who's going to even play. You got Bland out there, a rookie who had some really good games, and Diggs doesn't want to tackle. That was the big concern was, does Diggs even want to tackle or be involved in that? And at one point, one of the moments when he spun out of trying to tackle somebody, he got his safety hurt. So that really stung for him.
Is it really him not wanting to tackle, or is it just that one play that we continue to hold on to?
No, there's multiple.
There's more. Okay. Yeah, there's more.
I'm just always curious because I know that we can always take one play and we make it become a big thing. So I wanted to make sure, are we really just going to hold on to this, or is it really something that he just doesn't do?
He's been a business decision guy on his body, but he's also great I think he's a great cover corner. I think obviously he does have the hands. I know this year the picks weren't coming left and right like the year before, but he is a guy that can snatch the ball out of the air and turn the ball over for you. And so there's enough positives that I'll live with his business decisions, but he has to make better business decisions. When it's 3rd and 7 and the guy has caught a ball for 5 yards, or he's running at you, there's a screen. It wasn't even his guy. Let's just say there's a screen or something like that. Dude, right here, you can get us off the field. That's also turning the ball over to your team. And when you make a business decision on 3rd down, short of the sticks, what are we doing now? Now you're letting the team continue a drive. So it's like, hey, I'm okay at certain times making business decisions because you are a small guy, you're a cover corner. But there are certain times where you made bad business decisions by not getting that team off the field on 3rd down.
And I don't know that Stephon Gilmore brings any more physicality to the secondary.
Agreed.
You have probably the most physical safety in the league, in my opinion, who kind of fills in as a linebacker in Donovan Wilson. They have this really, I love what they're able to do because they can take a linebacker off the field whenever it's pure passing downs and say, go out there, Donovan Wilson, and be both. Be a guy that can stop the run if we need to, but you also can cover. And when you hit somebody, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, why did I even catch that ball? That's the way that he plays. Kearse matches up well against big tight ends. He matches up well against receivers as well. So he's a good mismatch. And then Malik Hooker can do a lot of different things back there as well. So that's your safeties. That's 3 safeties. And now you have 2 guys on each side of the outside that are very good in coverage. When it comes to coverage, these 2 are right at the top of the game. You would probably put them. Jair Alexander was in that mix this year. I mean, and then you had Tariq Woolen. There were lots of really good corners this year. And then Bland made his push. He can play slot. He can play outside. And you know what? Stephon Gilmore can move. There are so many different ways you can say we can manipulate offenses now as a defense. So that's where I kind of still get back into the, what does it say for Kelvin Joseph? What does it say for Nahshon Wright? Those were draft picks that they believe, the Cowboys have said, these guys are good special teams contributors and they are NFL caliber cornerbacks. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they are Super Bowl caliber cornerbacks. And that's what the Cowboys, they said we need to address this because our depth needs to be better. I think, Mike, and from just the way it looks for me, Kelvin Joseph and Wright are continued backups, and by the end of their rookie contracts, they're gone.
I hear what you're saying. I think there's a good chance they just release Kelvin Joseph out of training camp.
You think so?
I think he is character-wise, teammate-wise. I'm not going to put talent, but now his talent isn't looking that good either. So now we have character issues. We have a little bit of teammate issue. We have study issues. And now the talent isn't looking that great when we put him on the field in his second year. I think there's a 50% chance that Kelvin Joseph is released at the end of training camp.
Okay.
So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like end of rookie contract, 100%. There's no way you sign that guy to a second contract with his character issues. But I do think that there is, when you start looking at, you talked about the depth, talk about the 2 guys we've already talked about. You talked about Bland. There's 3. Jordan Lewis is coming back.
Yep.
4.
They could release him and save themselves about $4, maybe $5 million. That Jordan Lewis, that is. They could do that.
Okay, could do
but
that.
I'd like to keep the guy.
And then there's 2 more spots on your team. You're going to keep 6 corners. Well, if I keep Wright, and I'm not 100% sure you are, but let's just say I keep Wright. What if I draft a cornerback in the 3rd round? What if there's a dude in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round I like at corner? That's my other guy. Now, Kelvin Joseph has to hope for injury to keep himself on the team. And there's going to be a guy that probably gets hurt, but that's where I see a guy like Kelvin Joseph. This is where you ruin a career in a heartbeat is, and I always go back to the Eminem song. He has more than one shot, one opportunity because he blew it by being part of a murder and he wasn't doing any. He didn't shoot anybody. He didn't kill the person, but he was there with his buddies who did it. Is now he's on his 2nd to last try. They gave you the benefit of the doubt there and kept you. You were trash in the NFL as a cornerback last year when you got your opportunity. Now you better show quite a bit in training camp or you will be released. And then does he get picked up by another team? Maybe because of his talent. Maybe. But because of his history as a person, you're going to run into some issues where probably at least 16 of the teams write you off completely. And then probably another 5 to 10 teams write you off because you haven't even been good at football. And now you're down to about 5 teams maybe that will give you another opportunity.
And man, there's so many fan texters in right now that are saying, just let the guy go. Just let Joseph go.
I think they'll bring him into camp just in case. He has a great offseason, great attitude. They love
bodies
his
are
talent,
important. Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, bodies are important. You could have 3 injuries in training camp. Like, oh, man, we did let go of our 2nd-round pick, and he didn't have any off-field issues.
Yeah.
So I totally get why you bring him into training camp, but I think he is fighting a 50-50 battle to make the team.
Secondary is, do you think that's the strength right now of this team then? Like, that's in my opinion, I think the secondary is going to be the best part of the team at this moment.
I lean towards defensive end.
You still like
because Micah Parsons is arguably the best. You have Lawrence, who's still good. He's like edging out of his prime. He's kind of just out of his prime, but still good. And then I need to go look at a depth list. But I do like
Armstrong.
Dorrance Armstrong, solid. I need to go look at other depth lists. I feel like we're okay and almost better there because you have the best in the NFL. And if he's not the
Sam
best,
Williams, who
I love him.
There are some things that I'm still concerned about that I just want him to, mature just a little more.
So we just named 4 guys right there, and you only play 2 at a time. So I think defensive end is your strength.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I think the Cowboys additions that they made in their secondary make that their strength. Now this is where a lot of Tolos, I'm seeing it on the fan text as well. They don't have any money to spend on offense. Maybe they don't need money to spend on offense. Maybe the Cowboys can continue to draft there, and if they picked an offensive lineman in the first round again this year because that's the best spot this year, I don't think that Cowboys fans would be too upset because the Cowboys typically crush it with their first round pick. Typically, that's the way that it goes. Derek, you look a little concerned.
Yeah, I don't feel very confident about the offense. I mean, you're still missing some pieces.
The
we
weapons.
Need a stronger line to help out with Dak.
I will be shocked if the 26th pick isn't an offensive player. How about that?
I agree.
That helps out your offense.
Yeah, that's a first round pick.
It'll be?
I think it could be tight end. I'm not putting them in order. Tight end, wide receiver, offensive lineman, maybe running back. If the UT kid falls, I could see them taking a running back there. But I do think I won't even put second round there. It could be third, fourth round. They're going to take a running back if the UT kid doesn't fall to them at 26. So they're going to take, I think, an offensive player at 26. I think they'll probably look at defense in their second round, but if an offensive guy falls that they're in love with, they could do it again. But I think third, fourth round, they take a running back they like.
So what's the biggest concern for the Cowboys then? Is it offense or defense?
Keep pushing offense.
To be honest, if you're being that general, I'll say offense, but I'll say their biggest issue is their quarterback has to play like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
But what's going to help the offensive line?
What's going to help them is getting the ball on 3 and outs and controlling the clock and not putting a lot on his plate. He is not a great quarterback, but you can make him great. I would say this, look at what they did with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. I still don't see him as a great quarterback, but he's entered the topic of top 5 quarterback because they didn't put a lot on his plate. You start saying, hey, Jalen Hurts, we need 30 from you a game, or we're probably not going to win 10 or 12 games. I'm not sure Jalen Hurts can do that if you put that much pressure on him to do that. But when you put pressure on Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, they're like, yeah, that's no problem. You want 40? I'll get you 40 if you want 40.